Welcome back to the channel, guys. Spring has sprung over here at Wanderlust Campus, and today we're talking about hiring mistakes to avoid when you are growing your travel agency. That's right. If you want to find out what's really important as you grow your team, what pitfalls do you want to not run into, those contractor versus employee regulations and guidelines that are so important to adhere to, and also how to avoid costly mistakes, keep on watching. That's what we're doing on the show today. All right, guys, don't forget to take a moment, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell over on YouTube. We bring you amazing content every single week to help you in your travel business, and I don't want you to miss a thing. If you're new here, my name is Cyndi Williams. I am the CEO and founder of Wanderlust Campus, where we teach you how to launch, grow, and supersize your travel businesses. I've been in the industry over 30 years. I started when I was 19, just a baby. And so you get to come here and absorb and soak up all my amazing 3+ decades of experience. And today, we got a whopper. So for my agency owners, we are talking about those hiring mistakes that are so common. If you've been thinking about growing a team, maybe you're going it alone, there's not a lot of information out there that is reliable. And also, if you are in kind of a hosting environment right now and thinking about growing your team, maybe you're asking, do I grow my team under my host? Do I go independent first? There's a lot of questions, and hosts don't always kind of share the information on how to go independent, or much less how to scale your own team in your own environment. First things first, if you are in that place where you know you're growing a team, there's some important things for you to know so you don't run into these kind of big mistakes that happen out there in the industry. So we're going to cover it for you today. We have all the details. So first things first, let's talk about understanding the basics of hiring contractors. So number one, this is not an employee situation. If you've only worked as an employee out in the real world, you may not be familiar with what it means to be an independent contractor, or maybe you are. If you've been hosting under an agency and you have been a contractor yourself, you may know that it's a little bit different. So when you're hiring contractors, first of all, it is very important that you are following all of the current regulations, guidelines, all of the required contractor law, because if you are not in compliance, then you could be crossing a line, which could cause you to have to reclassify your staff as employees, meaning you have to pay additional taxes burdens. There could be fines and penalties, a whole array of things you don't want to run into. So making sure that you are going to the IRS site directly, and I will put that link up here on the screen for you, and reading through. And if you don't understand every single line of that, make sure you are consulting with a legal representative that specializes in employment law or contractor law, because they will tell you, nope, if you do this, it's crossing a line. If you do this, it's in a gray area. If you do this, it's crossing a line. Make sure you are in compliance, because you don't want to have to redo your whole system. And also, you don't want to get in trouble with the government. We don't want that, right? That's like job one. So make sure that your contractors, if you are hiring contractors, that you are following all of those guidelines. So a couple of the big ones that you should be aware of. You cannot require them to work a schedule. You cannot say you are going to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's going to be your schedule. Here's when to take your lunch and breaks. No. That is employee behavior. That would be classified as an employee. You can't tell them when to work, how much to work, how to do their job either as well. You don't have control over their actual tasks and how they complete their job. When they're working with you as contractors, you are really offering the opportunity to work on projects or serving clients as projects. They're accepting that project, and then that's how they are earning their compensation, which in this case will be commission when that commission comes in, and then they are paid. Now, I will say ASTA has also done a really nice job of working for us and lobbying for us in this area. So in some states, there are some differences based on how the law is interpreted within the travel industry. So based on where you're located, also ask your legal representative about that. All right. So we talked about no schedules. We talked about making sure you don't have control over their work. The next thing I want to talk about is training. Now, before we get into there, I also want to recommend everyone, and you may not have heard the big news on this, especially if you're an agency owner, we now allow you to get a free Wanderlust Campus account. So I'm going to link that down below. But if you visit us at wanderlust-ceo.com, you can get a free account, and any of my free resources for agency owners you can find there. And guys, we just went through a whole month-long process of kind of redoing some of our free resources, creating some new ones. So based on the level that you are in the travel industry, if you tell us you're an agency owner, anything I have free now or in the future will unlock for you when you get your free account. So definitely check that out over at Wanderlust Campus. Again, I'll link that down below. But I want to talk about the second biggest mistake that people make in this area when they're scaling their team. They're like, oh, I'm gonna have a team, I'm gonna train them everything they need to know. You are not allowed to formally train your contractors. Did you know that? They're supposed to either come trained or be willing to do training on their own. So there are occasions when you can make training available, but in no way, shape, or form can you have the same training program, any type of standardization, any type of exam, any type of requirement around training that is they can keep their job or not keep their contractor status with you based on if they complete any training that you put out there. So you're like, now I know what your questions. You're like, well, Cyndi, how am I going to make sure that these agents are doing a good job and taking care of my clients? And how am I going to make sure they know how to sell and how to not mess up a reservation? I know it's a perplexing issue. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of things that you can do here. So first and foremost, you can look for travel advisors and travel agents, travel professionals that are already certified or have experience. Of course, that's always the first choice when you're scaling a team. Now, if you are a new agency owner, your new setup may not be big enough to really attract those experienced agents just yet. You may get there, but just know, obviously, that would be an easy tier to try to hire or target ones that are already certified. You can also look for those that carry the Associate Travel Professional designation. This means that they have gone through an official training program at Wanderlust Campus, and they have a registered mark. So the Associate Travel Professional is a trademarked, registered mark that only those agents that have gone through full training that includes sales, marketing, how to handle clients, all the things that they need to know. They basically went through a training program called the Travel Professional Training Kit Plus, which is for agents that want to be hosted by agencies. So if you find one of those, you have a diamond on your hands. I would say definitely hire in that environment as well. Now, the other option that you can do is you can create some training and make it available. Just remember, you can't make people do it, and that's where it becomes difficult. So you either have to kind of really breed a culture that encourages and recognizes people and rewards them for doing those training steps if you want to have that consistency in how your clients are kind of handled by your ICs. And then the last option is at Wanderlust Campus. This is not available for everyone, but with some host agencies, small host agencies, new host agencies, we work with an educational partnership status. You can partner with Wanderlust Campus to make our Travel Professional Training Kit Plus available to your agents. Now, you're not in restriction with that, or you're not having any compliance issues because, one, we're delivering the training. We take care of all of the training, getting them trained. We're basically a third-party educator where they can go and get their training, and then when they come back to you, they're trained. They've earned that Associate Travel Professional designation. You get a dashboard to see where they are on their progress report, on where they are, if they've been trained, if they've earned their designation. And you can do that by either saying, do this first before we hire you. So that's the difference. You can require a certain amount of kind of criteria in order to be eligible to be a contractor. So if they are coming to you already trained, done. You already know they're kind of starting ahead of the game, right? The second thing that you could do to encourage it in your environment, like we've had hosts that come to us, some have 20, some have 200, and they're like, Cyndi, this is great, but how do I get the rest of my 150 agents to do this? You can do little things like encourage them with commission perks. You can say, once you've earned your designation, you can get a little bump in commission, or you can get a reward, or you can get some recognition. So as they're learning more and as they're earning really a real designation, they're getting rewarded in some financial capacity, and that encourages them to do it as well. So lots of different ways, lots of different options there, whether you're doing it yourself or you're working with someone like Wanderlust Campus. But just know, from a training perspective, proceed with caution. You have to be really careful about that. That's an important one. All right, now let's go through a few hiring mistakes to avoid. I want to make sure you guys don't run into any of these. The first one that I see whenever we work with our new agency owners in our curriculum and in Wanderlust Campus is having proper contracts. I can't tell you how many times I've seen agency owners burned, or they'll come in and they'll just start working with me and they'll say, Cyndi, this just happened with the last 3 that I hired. How do I avoid all this stuff? You need to make sure that you have an ironclad contract in place for your contractors. It should cover everything from how they're going to be compensated, what happens if they leave, what if they're going to take on extra projects or do different things in your environment, how does it work when they get their industry benefits. There's a whole list that we give our new agency owners, but you need to think through and start with yourself too. Like, what are the things that are in my current contract that you may have been in? But you need to think about things like, what's your privacy policy? How are they supposed to handle your client's information? How are they supposed to handle your branding? How do you want it to work when they're out at a public event? Like, everything should be covered in that hiring contract, so there is no confusion while they're working in a capacity as a contractor for you. And at the point they decide to graduate away from you or they decide to leave, there's no hard feelings, because it is written in the contract how those things will be handled. So that's really important. If you have a very vague contract or it's not spelled out, that's where people start to have feelings about things, and there'll be arguments, or there could be challenges when they decide to leave. Well, who gets the commission? And what if they decided not to be a travel advisor anymore? And now you have to jump into 20 reservations and do all of the work to get those clients traveled. Are they still expecting to get the same level of compensation and commission? You have to think about that. What's gonna be your kind of line that you draw in the sand, and make sure your terms and conditions in your contract really spell that out. So take the time, do not cheap out, do not have AI write your contract, guys. It's a bad idea. Have an actual attorney that specializes in contract law look at that with you to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted, and you are ready to start onboarding that. And do it before your first agent. I know it's you want to hire your friend, or so-and-so is interested, I'm going to figure it out as I go. This is not a figure it out as you go situation. This is serious business. You are taking on the responsibility of being an owner, registering as an agency, hosting people underneath you. You need to make sure these mechanics are in place and done correctly. All right, next one is failing to set expectations. I see this again and again. Oh, I hired a bunch of people. Of course, they're excited about being travel agents. Who wouldn't want to be a travel agent, right? I get it. But you get that initial enthusiasm, but then when the job's hard, or they run into difficulty, or they're not, feel like they're putting a lot of effort in and not seeing return, if you don't set good expectations at the beginning, you could have an agent say, well, I thought you were going to send me leads every month. What do you mean I have to go get my own leads? So taking time to set good expectations. What's their commission going to be? How is the communication structure going to work? Are they able to get coaching and mentoring? Are you going to have team meetings? Like, what is the support structure within this environment? And the other thing you're going to run into with independent contractors, guys, is if it's their first time being a contractor, they are used to working an employee model. So they're going to expect you to do everything for them. That's not how it works. You don't, as a host, they have to go out and get their business. They have to go out and get their training. They have to go out and figure it out. They have to hold online with Disney for 3 hours. You're not going to jump in and help in all of those situations. So making sure that you have a really clear list of expectations. In our Wanderlust CEO program, when we train new agency owners, we teach them to really have a whole kind of PowerPoint presentation put together, which is what we expect from you, what you can expect from us. Here's everything that we lay out expectation-wise, so they come in and they understand that being a contractor is not the same as being an employee. So especially with small agencies, This will happen again and again. So make sure you have those clear expectations. All right, this is probably one of the most important ones we're covering today outside of making sure you're in compliance with contractor law, and that is you guys need to run background checks, okay? This is one that people, well, I know so-and-so, I know this person from church, I know this person from over here, and oh, she's been a friend of so-and-so, she was referred by someone I really trust. I don't care. It does not matter. You would, and when I used to work in HR for a travel company, I was a vice president of human resources. Sometimes we would run a background check on someone who was about to be a vice president, and there would be the craziest thing on their background check, and you're like, oh my goodness. They came in, a suit, looking good, talked good, went all the way up the chain with all the interviews, ran the background check, and we're like, oh my gosh, if we didn't run a background check, this person would have been in our environment next week. Are you kidding me? So, and it happens at all different levels. My husband and I have owned multiple different businesses. And this is one of the things, like sometimes the sweetest person, you're like, no, like I would never believe that was on their background check. You don't know what has happened in the past, but your responsibility as an agency owner is to protect your business, protect your current contractors, protect your reputation. You better make sure you're doing background checks. So there are services out there where you can run one-off background checks if you're not hiring a ton, or if you are scaling up significantly, you should think about a subscription service that you have out there where you can run like 4 to 5 background checks a month, depending on how fast you're growing. All of those are options that are out there, but do not skip running those background checks, especially in this day and age where there's so much fraud and things going on. And guys, I have a lot of contacts in the travel industry. I work at the highest levels. I hear about all the lawsuits and all the things, maybe not all of them, but I hear a lot of noise about things that have happened and people that, kind of snuck into environments, and there's just so much that there's some bad actors out there is what I'm getting at. And I want your business to be protected. So please don't skip that step for sure. All right. Bonus tip. When hiring pre-trained or certified agents, you're going to get a different level agent like we talked about before. So that's going to save you time. It's going to save you energy. They probably already know how to do their job. As you scale and your agency becomes more attractive, always, if you can, hire a certified travel professional. Our certification levels are available on the Wanderlust campus website, and any of our students are able to use the CTP, Certified Travel Professional certification, or that Associate Travel Professional designation as well. So those are great ones to look for if you are staffing. And then Wanderlust campus graduates, they're going to have sales training, they're going to have service training, they're going to have crisis management training, they're going to have a higher level of competency to do their job as travel professionals. We have some of the mega hosts out there in the industry are like, how many of your students can I get, Cyndi? Like, we want all of your students because they just know what to do, right? So think about that. That's important. It'll save you a lot of time, especially for you smaller agency owners. I know you're still selling. Like, you're in this mind struggle of how do I move from salesperson to CEO? You want agents who are as equipped as possible, because the faster they're selling, you can really settle into that CEO seat where you're not having to sell every day. And honestly, you have a responsibility to do that, because the minute you say, I'm going to be a leader, I'm going to be a CEO of this company, your new job is to support those agents. It's not to do front end selling. So you've got to get away from the selling day to day and into this environment of being the CEO. And last but not least, if you are kind of in that consideration phase, or maybe you've started your agency, but it's not going quite as well as you thought, don't forget, we have our Wanderlust CEO program. We don't have this even on the website all the time because it's very kind of, let's talk about and see where your goals are, and if it's a match to work together. We let a few people into this program at different junctures through the year. So you can find out more information by going to wanderlustceo.com/start if you'd like to learn more about the Wanderlust CEO program, where I will teach you everything you need to know to be a new agency owner, and you'll get access to our agency level resources, tools, curriculum, everything that you need to get your agency started in a big way. And the best thing about that program is you are able to get those travel professional training kits at a huge discount, so your agents, your prospective agents, can take that before they even start with you, and they will be trained and ready the minute they come in. So it's kind of a great system. We work with you on the CEO level, really doing the things that you need to do as a new agency owner, and then we give you a plug and play training process. It's kind of semi-white labeled, so it's a great way where we pull in your branding, but we deliver it so it keeps you in compliance. And so you have a training solution the minute that happens. So if that sounds like that's interesting, I'll link that down below for you guys too. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. It is spring here in Orlando. The weather is beautiful, and I'm just so excited. I love springtime. So guys, wherever you are in your journey, I wish you so much love, so much abundance. I wish you the world. We'll see you next time. If you like that last video, make sure you check out all the content available to you on our channel. And I invite you to follow along, travel with me around the world as I grow and scale my travel businesses. You're gonna pick up some great tips, some great tricks on how you can grow your own travel brand too. I'm gonna drop some links down below, and also check out these videos I handpicked just for you.